everybody. I want to make a video to reiterate something that I've said over and over.
Turn right on Prince Creek Drive.
You should turn right on Prince Creek Drive. Definitely. That is, are you a narcissist? So after you've expunged yourself or expunged this narcissist out of your life, you notice that when you start interacting with new people start to give you the feedback of the same stuff that you used to complain about with your narcissist. And you're like, holy shit, maybe I was the problem, And the answer to that is no, you're not. Because part of emotional abuse and narcissistic abuse, there's this very slow changing that occurs with you. Because, it's a gradual process. It's a gradual process over time. If you meet someone who's a jerk, if your narcissist is verbally abusive, for whatever reason, you will tolerate it from them. But you would never tolerate it from anybody else, like a complete stranger or a coworker or somebody at the table. You could, literally, you could have somebody sitting at the table who insults you in every way that your narcissist does, and you would take great offense to it. And not that you don't take offense to when a narcissist says it, but you wouldn't tolerate it with this other person like you would tolerate it with a narcissist. Why is that? Well, because the process happens over time in very, very small stages. You change very slowly over time into something that the narcissist wants and needs you to be. So, and you participate in this, and that's a key, is because these changes are changes that you actively participate in as well. So, when you're in the love bombing phase and you're deeply in love, you want to do things to make this person happy. You want this person to be happy because you love them, and you start noticing the things that make this person unhappy, so you think, okay, well, I won't do that anymore, right? So you're a willing participant in all of these little changes. And that's the key. It's all of these little small changes that mostly come about by you out of love. And so then after the relationship is done, you're still the same person you were in the narcissistic relationship. You don't bounce back to being who you were before the relationship because you're not that person. Because you've changed yourself. The narcissist didn't change you. The narcissist was your reasons for the changing, but they had very little say over your changes. They encourage it and they facilitate it by all of their off-the-cuff comments, the little things they say and do, all their little suggestions, the little construction phase of trying to fix you up and make you their little project. But it's still mostly you changing yourself, right? And so because of that, it's a lot different than somebody coming up to you out of the clear blue and saying, you'd be pretty if you dyed your hair, right? Fuck you, bitch, but it's somebody who, when it's the person you're with saying it, then you're like, oh, well, maybe I would look pretty, see what I mean? So there's that. Now, I want to provide some insight into how this can and does actually create real narcissists, because real narcissists and people with the personality disorder are also created through this very process. So understand that in your formative years, when you're younger than 18, children are inherently narcissistic. All children are somewhat selfish. They don't really think about others or care about others because they haven't developed that level of consciousness yet. They haven't really developed that emotional maturity to truly feel what other people feel, right? So, but they're still in their formative years. Well, if you're a child of a narcissistic parent, that narcissistic parent is going to do what they do. And so the child grows up thinking the same thing. Maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that, my parents will love me. I'll be more loved. I'll be more appreciated. And parents dole out awards for when good little children are good little children and do good little children things, I mean, parents do that in general. You want to reward your children when they act right. But, narcissistic mothers, for example, want their children to be the mirror on the wall. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Tell mommy how much you love mommy. I love you more than anything, mommy. You're the best mommy in the world. Oh, I know. That's used for children. Children serve a specific purpose. Well, as with everything else, narcissistic abuse, when the children don't necessarily fall in line with the narc's expectation, they get punished. They get punished for things that are not their fault. They're made to feel guilty constantly. They try to change themselves. They forever try to change themselves, and they diminish themselves to meet the approval of their parents. And because it's the formative years, the process continues. You know, some of us have only been in relationship with narcissists for sometimes a few months, sometimes a few years, or, you know, sometimes even a decade or longer. But the real victims are the children of narcissists, because not only do they endure all of the abuses that are so intolerable to us as adults, but it becomes permanently written into their brains because they're in their formative years, and it forever changes who they are. And eventually they get to the same point that you're at now, where you're wondering, what happened to my joy? I have no joy. I have no life. And I'm starting to hear feedback from other people about the same things I used to complain about. Am I a narcissist? I don't think so. And these poor children, you know, they get diminished throughout their childhood by this narcissistic influence in their lives. And that's where the problematic low self-esteem comes from, the problematic low self-image. They start to develop that false sense. I give the visual of whenever you're speaking to a narcissist, this is actually what you're talking to, where they're free to say whatever they want, but they have this, what's called the false self, which is an alternative way of interpreting what you're saying. So when you tell somebody how you feel, you're expressing your feelings with words, and those words have a specific meaning. You're saying, you're being a douchebag and you need to stop, right? You really mean exactly that, stop being a douchebag. But from their standpoint, they're saying, they always assign an explanation or a reason why you're saying what you're saying. There's my nostrils. You know, why are they telling me this? Why is he telling me to not be a douchebag? Why, or he or she? Why are they telling me to stop being douchey? Well, it's because, you know, in another video, I said, well, if a guy tells another guy stop being a douchebag and he's a narcissist, he's like, well, okay, why is he telling me this? He's just jealous because I'm with a hot girl and he wants to steal my hot girl. I see the game. He's trying to devalue me in front of my girl so then he can go talk to her behind my back and try to steal my girl, right? So that's why he's saying that. So this is the false self that they construct in front of them, where everything said is subjected to a layer of processing to determine intent, and that intent explains away the hostility and all the negativity, and that allows them to live their life without ever experiencing anything negative, and that allows their ego to swell and grow beyond all hell, man, because you know, they get to this certain point where they've been diminished, and they, you know, especially through their childhood, they grow up feeling that they're a useless, worthless piece of shit. They're stupid. They're never going to amount to anything. They hear all these abusive things from the parents, and that gets written into the brain. I am useless. I am a worthless piece of shit. I will never amount to anything. I'm just a fat, stupid slob, and nobody will ever want me for the way I am. But as with everything else, life continues, and life does not slow down or stop for anybody. So now they got to figure out how to cope with real life with this self-image. And so they think that, you know, they'll never have the things other people have because they're this loser. So how can I get the things that I want? I'm gonna, you know, how can I do that? Well, I've got to play dirty, unfortunately. But you know what? Life's a competition, and I can't live my entire life with this serious degree of unhappiness. I can't live my life like this. I need to make something of myself. I need to go prove that I'm worth something. I need to go prove to the world that I can do this, 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 or this. And then, you know, they have something to be proud of. And it's super inflated pride because they're coming from a much lower place than we are, you know. So that's how a narcissist gets formed. And it's the same process that you experience during your relationship with a narcissist. The difference is the age. You know, children are malleable, and they take it a lot harder, and they take it a lot harder than an adult. So just imagine, however hard your relationship is with your narcissist, it is many times more difficult on a child, and that child has much more difficulty healing and moving on past it. And it's very common for them to either have psychological issues or personality disorders or become a narcissist themselves, simply put. So, to sum it up, that's the process that creates a narcissist. That's the process that turns you into good supply. That's the process that changes you not permanently, but changes you and who you are, so that after the breakup, you're still the person that you became during the relationship. Whereas in a normal relationship, so-quote normal relationship, that comes to an end and you break up with somebody who was not emotionally abusive, you spring right back to who you were, right? You were this person in the relationship, you break up, you're still that same person. You get in a relationship with a narcissist, you change who you are, you want to make them happy, you go through this construction phase of always trying to please them and make them happy. You change you. And then after the narcissist leaves, you are now this newly diminished person who you were not when you first met this person. You were not like this when you met them. But that's who you've become, and you've become this because you did it yourself. So, how can you get your happiness back? It's not a straight answer, but you have to go back and start reconnecting to the things that did make you happy. Your old high school passions, if you were in extracurricular activities. Maybe you played band, you're a musician. Maybe you sold your guitar or your drums because it was annoying to who you were with. Get you another guitar or pull your drums back out and pound away, Reconnect with your old friends. And then, what else is there? Oh, yeah, reconnect with old friends. Get a social life. Do not isolate yourself, because that is one of the biggest facilitators of narcissistic abuse, is isolation. And so as you're going through this healing process, we all know that narcissists love to hoover. They love to pull you right back in, even though you want to be done with them. They want to suck you back in like the mafia. Just when you think you're out, you get pulled back in. So, isolation is horrible. Do not isolate yourself. Develop a social life. If you lost your friends to the narcissist, fuck them. You didn't need them anyways. Sometimes it's a good, there's positive outcomes of having a narcissist. They will remove the people who are not your true friends for you, which is great, because then there's no flying monkeys. So, good that they do that. Reconnect with old friends, make new ones, and don't do it alone. And you'll be fine. One day you'll be fine. Go back to being who you were by doing the things you used to do. And you're going to have to learn to discard the things that you are now. It is not an easy process. It is not an easy process, but it's faster than the process that turned you into this. So you can recover much faster than the narcissist was able to erode you. So just know that. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, or share. I'll see you on the next video.